Welcome back to the Badass Literature Society, where badasses come together to rate and review novels recommended by you. Hi, I'm Michael.
This is Barbara.
And I'm Lauren.
On this special bonus episode, we're doing something a little different. No book review, no deep dive, just a fun round of Bookish Would You Rather. I've got a list of Would You Rather questions all about books, reading habits, tropes, and more. None of us know what's coming, so we're going in totally blind. Let's get into it. Are you both ready for the first question?
What?
Born ready.
Wow. Barbara wasn't listening to the intro at all. She just
I was being too busy pretending I was diving in.
She was being a scuba diver.
First one. Would you rather only read your favorite book forever or only read new books you don't know if you'll like?
I would pick the second one. Only read new books you don't know if you'd like. Because as much as I love reading my favorite book, there was a part in my life where I had just bought my Kindle, went to Brazil, and only had 3 books for 3 months and read those same 3 books over and over again. And it was fine. But after a while, I feel like you would get bored. As much as I love, and I have reread my favorite books multiple times. But I feel like if it's only one book, it's not even like the whole series or something, I would get a little agitated. And besides, like, I think that's the fun part about reading books is you don't know if you're going to like it or not. Like, isn't that kind of the fun in that? Like, you pick up a book and you don't know if you're going to like it. People can recommend it to you, but their recommendations could be off or something. Or you just look at the back of the book and it sounds great and then it's something completely different. So that would be my pick.
I'm on the same page as you. I'd rather read only new books that I didn't know if I'd like because I'm beginning to read new things.
Samesies. I would be very sad that I couldn't reread my old book that I love, but I would get bored. I'd get bored very quickly, I think, if that was the only book that I could read forever. And so I think I would just end up not reading as often, and I would only read it like once every 6 months or so. And that would just be a sad, sad life.
Exactly.
So
what a sad existence.
What a sad existence.
All right, next, would you rather? Would you rather have to read out loud every book you ever read or never be able to speak about books again? Man, I guess I'm going to choose read out loud every book you read, because if I choose the second one, then I can no longer be on the podcast and no longer talk to you two about books anymore. But gosh, that's going to get pretty annoying to be sitting there once upon a time and just like having to read it out loud all the time.
Especially because you read it at night and I'd be trying to go to sleep and it'd be, shut up, Michael!
Well, can you imagine also, like, so it'd be one thing, like, so sitting there reading like a novel out loud, at least like you're getting like an audiobook experience that you didn't want, but at least it's like if you could understand the story. But could you imagine like when I'm reading my comic books or manga, like having you're just getting like the dialogue, you're not
like
seeing what's happening.
Like a random word here and there.
Ouch! Bam! Boom! Watch out! What the
So or like fun. the last podcast book could be entertaining, having Michael have to read it aloud.
That's what I was going to mention during my answer.
Wow, yes. I also think, though, that I would probably choose reading it aloud because it doesn't say how loud, so I could maybe whisper read it. And
would that be creepier, though? Like you're in the corner just like...
That's true, because then I would no longer be able to do audiobooks, because how would that work? I can't read it out loud.
You can't do audiobooks.
Read it out loud with it.
I would be like echoing it.
James would hate you so hard.
Well, and my kids would be so confused. Man, but to not ever be able to talk about books with anyone again also would be hard. I think I'm going to do a lawyer loophole.
Oh, we're lawyering it up.
I think I'm going to be able to read in my head, but I think that instead of talking to people about books, I will write my opinions about books.
Well, there we go. Loophole.
And then you guys can still include me in the podcast via written messaging, and then because I
Lauren's on
don't think
camera
that.
holding up like cue cards so we can read her viewpoints.
So Lauren says,
Yes, exactly. I could even hire like a surrogate or something, to just sit here and be my voice. That would be my loophole because I
somebody on
truly,
TaskRabbit to just sit here and read your notes for the podcast.
I truly think though that I would hate myself if I had to read everything out loud. I think I would get annoyed with myself, and then again I would stop reading because I would be overstimulating myself. So I think I have to go with the lawyer loophole and choose the can't talk about books.
without a lawyer loophole, I would actually choose the second one again. I would be okay with just, I guess, not speaking about books again with other people. Because to be honest, I did that for a vast majority of my life. Like, I'm a quiet person in general, so the thought of having to read out loud every book that I read sounds like a worst nightmare scenario for me. And up until, like, I mean, I guess I was like talk to my sister about books when we were younger, but like outside of her, I would just read a bunch of books and not really discuss it with anyone. I didn't really know that was a thing until like much, much, much later. And even then in like high school, I didn't really talk about it. I think it was until I got into college where other people started talking about books to me, and I was like, oh, like this is a thing. And then I started to do that, and obviously now we
people
have
talk about these things.
Right, exactly. So I guess I will no longer be with the podcast, but I refuse to read out loud the books. I just find that
I chose the selfless answer to continue doing the podcast with you two, and you guys are like,
I'm
gosh,
gonna
here
do the
we
podcast.
go. Of course the man is going to say
I'm
that.
still gonna do the podcast, Michael. It's just gonna be a surrogate voice. My face will be here.
Yeah, exactly. Just type it out like Lauren. I don't know.
You just hear like Lauren's husband voice like off to the side, reading notes.
It's been a fun run, you guys, but I'm choosing myself.
Fair. All right, next question. It's Lauren's turn to go first. Would you rather be stuck in a world with no romance novels or no fantasy novels?
Well, that's hard because I have developed such an affinity for fantasy of recent.
I was gonna say, if this was like the first year, I feel like your answer might be
My answer
different.
would have been much more clear cut back then. I think I would probably, at this juncture of my life, I would choose fantasy over romance.
You guys, we did it. We did it. We converted her, y'all. We did it.
This is the last episode of the podcast. Conversion successful.
But that's with the caveat that I think that includes romantasy. Like, I can keep my romantasy as fantasy.
That's what I was going to say.
That's fair.
Fantasy books can have romance
just like
in them.
I've never been super into like just the pure romance anyway. I like a romantic trope weaved into a larger plot.
For those of you listening, we can see Lauren's bookshelf behind her, and it's covered with those books that have shirtless men on the cover.
You're lying. You're lying. I'm not even in my bookshelf room. No, a lot of the true like romantic or I guess smutty books that some of my book club peeps read, I struggle with the writing aspect. There's not a lot of like some of them even have very overt like grammatical errors, and I think we're just like some people are just looking past that because you got to get off. I guess I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Well then. I don't read for that purpose, but I know a lot of people that do. So, yeah, I would pick. I don't remember the wording of the answer, but I would pick fantasy.
Yeah. If I had to be stuck in a world, I would choose I would rather no romance.
I feel like this is a super straightforward question for both of you guys because you guys don't even like romance books.
I like romance, but in the stories I'm reading, but I don't like it to be the central attention of the story. I mean, it could be even 50-50, but I don't think maybe I don't know. Maybe I have picked up just a romance. I don't really know off the top of my head if I have or not. But it would be a very sad world for me with no fantasy novels. So I feel like that's a pretty easy one.
All right, next question for Barbara first. It's going to be a little
You
diabolical.
didn't even answer, Michael, but it was just like a given.
It's fantasy. It's a given.
So you would rather be stuck in a world with no romance? That's what you mean
Correct.
by that.
Yes.
Okay.
No romance. Now on to the next question. Would you rather always know the twist ahead of time or never get closure on endings?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I would rather know the twist ahead of time. I would drive myself crazy not knowing or not getting closure on endings. Like, what if it's like the last chapter and you don't know who did it and you're like speculating, but you don't know officially, and then you don't get it? No, absolutely not.
Oh, you mean like
I
Bethany's book?
right, exactly. Like, I just no. I would rather know the twist ahead because I don't think that's like, yes, it's spoiling, but like I
Not
don't
fair
think
though,
it
because Barbara always
ruins
knows
the
the twist ahead of
story
time
for
because she's
me.
so good
If
at predicting.
what did you say?
I said it's not really fair though, because you always know the twist ahead of time anyway.
I
How
was
do I know
thinking
the
that
twist
too.
ahead of time?
You're
Because you
very good
always
at
predict the
predicting.
twist.
You do
But you don't
predict
know
it
if
a
it's
lot.
true or not.
That's true. You don't know 100%.
All right,
Right.
true.
Right. That would be terrible. No, I would rather know the twist ahead of time. I don't think it ruins the book if you do know that, because I feel like you can still enjoy the book knowing the twist. I mean, obviously it's not as fun because you can be like, gasp, but like not getting closure on endings, I would riot. Yes.
If every book you ever read, now you just never got any closure, that would suck.
Can you imagine? Like, just think of it. I don't know. It's just that's. Mm-mm.
So I'm not same. I'd rather know the twist, even though I love the twist. I'd rather know the twist than never get closure on endings.
This one's hard because I love a good plot twist. And I feel like in certain books, like I won't even reread the book, even though I loved it, because I know all the plot twists. And so I know it's not going to be as enjoyable. So, but also I hate not having closure at the end of a book. So I don't know which I hate more, if I'm honest. 'Cause I feel like I tend to not want to read books that I already feel like I know what's going to happen.
Yeah, but don't you reread books? You already know what's gonna
I
happen,
do,
and you
and I
still
enjoy
enjoy
them.
them.
I still enjoy them, but I don't. What I don't reread is like my psych thrillers that have like plot
Ah,
twists that basically like change
sure,
everything.
sure.
And then it's like I just don't reread them because I'm like, well, I already know like the big twist, and so like I'll reread like the books of my childhood and different things that do have some twists here and there, but not like plot changing twists, I guess.
Hmm.
I don't tend to reread like my psych thrillers that have big twists. So I don't know
But if you
because I
never
could
get
always
closure,
like
Lauren,
make up my own endings.
that's like reading the entire Harry Potter series and getting to the end of book 7. You get to the climactic moment in the Battle of Hogwarts, and then the book just fades to black.
I'd be livid.
You would never know that Snape is Snape.
But
Snape is
Snape,
redeemed.
that Snape has redeeming qualities.
I mean, he really doesn't. Let's like not pretend that he did, but
He had a few redeeming qualities. That doesn't make him a good person,
I
but he
don't
did.
know.
He
Yeah.
had some redemptive things that made him less of a bad guy, but
That is
still a
not the
bad guy.
question, ladies.
Okay, I guess I'll pick what you guys picked because I feel like I would be sad though because I don't think I would enjoy like a whole genre of books that I currently really like because I think if I knew how they were going to go, I probably wouldn't enjoy them. But I would just have to stick to other genres.
Just think of it this: that one book that we read, like, what was it? Like, nothing I say is true, or something to that effect. You know what the book I'm
Mhm.
The
talking
None
about?
of This Is True by Lisa
Yes.
Joel.
If we never got the last chapter, we would never be debating whether that is like who's right or wrong.
That's
Like, we
true.
would never have the debate. And even knowing that twist ending, you still don't know. See?
Yes. No, I just think that knowing all of the twists would probably make me not want to pick
Hmm.
psych thrillers. But I could read other things.
Your romance novels.
Yeah. Those don't have very many twists. Those are pretty predictable.
Some of these questions, like I'm just reading them and just knowing Barbara, I just feel like they're just diabolical for her. This is another one of those. Would you rather read a book with no punctuation, or I'm sorry, or one with no chapter breaks? And I'm going to choose no chapter breaks. As much as I like, you both know that I hate long chapters, and this is essentially committing myself to a life where I have to read books that just one long chapter. But the alternative is not having punctuation, which means like it would just be nonsense written on a page. There's no punctuation, because punctuation like includes more than just like periods and commas. Like there wouldn't be like like the tabbing and the indentation and stuff. Like it would just be a mess. So No chapter breaks. It is, unfortunately. I'll hate it. I'll probably stop reading, but that's what I'm going to choose.
I would choose that too. And I would also hate it for the same reasons. Just, I have to, I don't know, maybe it's an ADHD thing or something, but like, I have to have chapters because then that's the dopamine, right? Oh, I made it to another, like one more chapter kind of thing. But I don't have to have chapters if it means I can't have punctuation because, as Michael said, there'd just be a jumbled nonsense. I hate it when I read a book and an editor misses a single punctuation issue because it's very distracting for me, having been an editor
Like,
in college.
that
So
also means no quotation marks, so you can't
I
tell what
know
is
nothing.
dialogue and what is not.
Yeah, nothing. No commas. No. Yeah, that would be asinine. So it would have to be the no chapter breaks, which would piss me off a lot. But you know what? Chapter breaks aren't as relevant in audiobooks, so I would be less affected.
Punctuation. Well, I guess it's how someone reads it,
Yeah,
though.
punctuation would be
It would just
if
be
you
like
didn't
a
have.
full
Yeah,
run-on sentence
it would just be
audiobook.
one big run-on sentence. Because the audiobook, they're gonna have to read it with no punctuation either. So
Right.
it's just gonna be like
Right.
a whole
Can you
run
just
on.
imagine someone just like going off and off in an audiobook? I mean, what is happening?
Yeah, that would be bad.
I don't have as much of a problem as you guys do with chapter breaks because I don't know. I guess I mean, obviously chapter breaks are nice and that's like a stopping point for me because I'm like, oh, one more chapter type thing. But I have had to like stop in mid like paragraph type thing when I have to do other stuff. I I would stop reading if a book did not have punctuation. As someone who used to read fan fiction as a kid, and you would get some horrible non-punctuated correct stories, I was not the type of person who could get past that. Like, I don't care how good the story is, I can't get over that. It really bothers me. It really takes me out of a book. And so I would just stop reading. I would not be able to read a book again if there was no punctuation. So for me, this one was an easy one. I'm pretty sure when Michael said a book with no punctuation, my face just fell in horror.
It
So
was. You had a face of just sheer terror. Like,
yeah.
this
Yeah.
idea had never crossed your mind, and you wished that it hadn't. Like,
It would be
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah. Just that is I don't want to be in a world with that. So
would you rather have to always read on a crowded subway, or in complete silence, but there's a toddler who throws a toy at you every few seconds?
That's a tricky one because the toddler is literally my life. So I'm already used to that. The crowded subway, though, it's like all the smells and things. Like, I didn't even like the crowded buses when I was living in England. So, but if my toddlers aren't there, I can at least like finish a page. I don't know. I might pick the subway. I might pick the subway because I can put noise canceling headphones in and maybe like something under my nose so I don't smell stinky Sam or whatever, over there.
Sam.
I just made that up. I don't know.
Someone named Sam is listening to the podcast. He feels attacked right now.
Stinky Pete. Isn't that like an actual character?
Someone's driving
Stinky
along,
Pete.
listening. What the hell?
Stinky Pete. I'm sorry to all the Sams of the world. That was not targeted. It was just alliteration. And Sam was the first S name that I could come up with. Yeah, I might choose the crowded subway just because if the toddlers are in the vicinity to throw toys at me, then they're also interrupting my book.
I'm not sure because I haven't needed to grab a subway in a daily lifestyle. So I'm not like I have been in crowded subways before and it's extremely uncomfortable, but I haven't experienced like complete silence with a toddler throwing things at me either. Like I have been in that position, but I wasn't
There
trying
is
to read
no
a
complete
book.
silence with toddlers,
I
by
was
the
gonna
way.
say I find that kind of like off-putting because like
It's almost like creepy that the child just sitting there in dead
exactly
silence,
like is this like a
throwing a toy.
demon child just throwing
Right.
toys at me or something?
No,
Because like
in a
kind
realistic-
toddlers aren't quiet.
In a realistic world, they're going to be screaming and squealing and doing all things, and then every now and then you're going to get hit with something.
Right, pelted with a toy or something. So yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to go with maybe crowded subway, as long as like no one's. Yeah, I'm gonna have to choose that because I'm not really sure. I feel like getting pelted with a toy every couple of like minutes is more distracting than like maybe just having someone like squished in. Because I mean, I have read in an airplane where like I have sat next to, someone who just decided to take up all the freaking room. And then I'm just like reading like this, and it wasn't fine, but it is what it is. So I think I'm going to pick that one.
It's better than a every 5-minute toddler assault,
Exactly. Like, better than being assaulted by a toddler every 5 minutes, because I'd be like at a good point and then being bam.
I can picture Barbara like sitting, and then the first like couple of times it happens, she's like, okay, stop, and then the last time, for the love of God.
That is exactly what would happen.
When she kept saying the word pelted, I kept like initially when I throw this question, I thought it was like a toddler throwing like a stuffed animal at you that's just irritating and distracting. But when she said pelted, I'm imagining like a bigger,
toy.
heavy toy and it's getting like right to the side of the head, just boom,
like a Barbie or something hard.
Hot Wheels at high speed. Anyway, so for me, this is obvious. Crowded subway. I can tune out the subway. I can't tune out getting hit by a toy. That's going to get way more irritating and distracting, I think, in the long run. All right, next question. Would you rather only read books that are 500 plus pages or only read books that are under 150 pages?
This is an easy one. 500 plus pages. I want sustenance. Not that books under 150 pages don't have that, but I have a harder time. I feel like I have a harder time like with shorter books. I was like, I want more, especially if I really love it. Then I'm like craving, like I need more of these characters, this world. I need to know more about it. Versus like a 600-page book. Sometimes it's easier to skip things than it is to imagination it. I mean, sure, I can imagination it, but it doesn't make it real. So that's a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, same. Also 500 plus. Because I mean, just think about like imagine yourself walking through a bookstore. Like, how many books on the shelves are 150 pages or fewer? Not very many.
It's like Junie B. Jones.
There probably are books like that. It's just
you could read the entire children's section.
It's mostly kids, yeah. It's mostly like 150. Because I think even Eliana's little Magic Treehouse books we started reading are at least like 85 pages. So, and those are, I mean, granted the font is like giant, but yeah.
So yeah, 500 plus pages for me.
Yeah, even for me who doesn't like the ones that Michael chooses that are like thousands of pages, I would definitely choose 500 plus, because otherwise, like Barbara said, you just can't. I mean, if it were like 350 versus, I don't know, that'd be a little bit different because you have a little bit more time to get into it. But 150 pages is barely enough to build any characters or plot or anything. So,
all right, next question. Would you rather be a character in a horror novel or a dystopian novel? And it's a horror novel. Absolutely. At least in a horror novel.
You'd be the bad guy, Barbara. What do you mean?
Well, no, hold on. Even if I die.
He'd be the murderer.
I mean, that's true. I could be the killer in the horror novel. But at least in the horror novel, like, you're living in a somewhat functional society.
You don't know that.
With modern comforts.
You don't know that.
Or comforts of the time.
No, you don't know that.
Dystopian society, no, there's no one happy in those books.
No, you don't know that. You could be living in like the 1400s in a horror story. Have fun with that.
Fine. That's still going to be more comfortable than a dystopian novel.
Really? You're going to have dysentery? That's comfortable? I don't think so.
There's no guarantee I'm going to have dysentery.
You don't know that.
In the horror novel that I'm picking, it's a slasher. And I'm the guy who owns the gas station that the characters stop at in the first 30 minutes of the film.
That gets dead in the first 30 minutes of the film.
I'm not going to die.
Yeah. He just runs the gas station.
I just run the gas station. I'm the one that like maybe
You're the murderer,
I'm the one that sends them.
Because it's always the gas station attendant that you first meet.
Look at the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm the gas station attendant that sends them down the wrong road towards the bad family. That's my role in the story.
You're the murderer. You help the family. They say, "Hey, we got a deal for you."
I'm not the murderer.
Send us these
I'm an accomplice.
Sweet teenagers, and we won't murder you. You're the accomplice.
But at least
there's a difference between an accomplice and a murderer.
I'm running a business. I'm all right. I can live with that.
That's true. Oh, I don't know. I think if I would need to clarify the character that I would be if I were in a horror or a dystopian, because there are aspects of a dystopian society books that I've read that would be really badass to experience, just in the sense of like, I don't know, like some of it would be fun, others of it would not. But I think, like Mike said, I might choose horror just because it's more predictable in the sense of the society and those things.
That's so predictable.
Well,
Y'all
I mean,
crazy.
They're both bad choices, Barbara.
they're
That's the
both
point.
it's like two bad choices. So my thing is, like, at least in a horror film, I'm not gonna have to like fight my friends to the death like some dystopian things, right? In a horror film, I could just open the wrong door and get murdered and then it's done. Or like I could, or like Michael, I could just be an accomplice or a bystander. Or I could, be just the little old lady that like rocks on the porch and creeps people out. And I don't murder anybody. I'm just like watching all the time,
But I mean, in the dystopian, you could also be one of the rich people who lives in great society. That's what I'm saying. If y'all are nitpicky, that doesn't count, because you can also, in Hunger Games, I'm gonna be the ones who are the really rich people who are watching the games and be like, "Yay, this is so great!" Like, I can do that too.
And you'd be able to live with your conscience, because I wouldn't.
As opposed to being the creepy little lady that knows people are getting murdered, it's the same thing.
I don't know people are getting murdered. I'm just a nosy Nelly.
Come on. You have a creepy neighbor, you don't think people are getting murdered?
Lauren seeing all these people go in, nobody comes out,
Nobody's
never
coming out.
wonders.
Wow, they must really like it over there.
I don't know what's happening. Okay.
I need his cookie recipe because everyone just stays at his house.
Jim is always digging holes in his backyard.
I didn't say I was going to be the next door neighbor. I said I was going to just be in the town. Just in the town.
Y'all are nitpicking. Y'all are nitpicking. Let's be honest. In a horror novel, you're either going to be the final girl. Sorry, Michael, you're never making it out. Or one of the people that dies, or the killer. Those are your choices. You can't be just an innocent bystander, you bitches.
Okay, well then you can't be the innocent rich person.
I'm still picking horror novel.
I wasn't going to.
I think
still pick horror.
I think I still would pick horror as well.
I would not choose horror. I love reading horror books, but I don't want to live in this flight or fight mentality all of my life. I already do that on a normal basis, I feel like, and it's not fun. I don't want to be running around having something chase me. I don't want to deal with like maybe losing all my friends and having PTSD. In dystopian, there's a lot of different dystopian novels. It's not necessarily like Hunger Games where everyone's dying. So I think I would choose.
But we don't get to be nitpicking.
No, I'm not. I'm not. There's a lot of different horror ones too. Like there's one in space that's still considered horror. I don't want to deal with aliens popping out of people's freaking chests either. So no, I will pick dystopian because I feel like I could maybe potentially, deal with that than horror. So that's mine.
All right, so our next question, would you rather burn every copy of your least favorite book or be forced to reread it every single year?
I feel like this one's tricky because I don't believe in the burning of books in general, and I don't think it's my place to take an entire book like away from people who might like it. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean that it's not like Barbara's favorite book in the world. So I would probably just have to take one for the team and read it once a year. Once a year isn't that terrible. So, and I could always like skim through it, I don't have to, but to get rid of it for everyone, that's not fair.
But that's, I guess when I read that, or I guess when I listened to that, that's not how I took it. I felt like maybe it's just like burning your own personal copy.
He said every copy.
Is it every copy?
I said burn every copy of your least favorite book.
So like every copy of your least favorite book.
Would you rather burn your least favorite book or be forced to reread it every year?
I didn't think you were looking at the notes. I changed the question to burn every copy.
Okay,
Because if it was just
that's not
burn,
fair.
if it was just burn my copy, then I would do that, so I don't have to read it every year. But
Right.
he said burn every copy, and that's not fair for me to decide that for
Oh.
Makes it a more
everybody.
interesting question because it's easy. If you burn a
Right.
single book you don't care about, then
Right.
no, this is burn every single copy.
I wasn't paying attention to you. I was just reading the question as one
Yeah.
does. Then my answer would change. Then yeah, I would not want to burn every copy because I don't agree with that. Like I feel like everyone should have access to whatever they want to read. So that's silly. I guess I would have to be forced to reread it. And that makes me want to hate life because I'm already picturing the crappy books I would have to read every year. And I guess I'm taking one for the team. I hate all of you, but I stand by that you should be able to read your crappy books if you want. So
I guess I'm going to say the same thing because it does feel wrong to burn every single copy of a book just because I don't like it, even though I might think it's justified. I'll reread it instead. Next one is, would you rather live in the world of the last book you read or the first book you remember loving?
would I rather live in the world the last book we read? What was the last book we read?
That would be The Wren in the
The Wren
Holly
in the
Library.
Hollywood.
Well, but I haven't finished reading that.
But that's the one you're reading most recently.
So then go off of whichever one you finished last.
I don't remember what book. Oh, well, okay. So I guess if we're doing the podcast book and it's the current one we're reading, I don't want to live in that world. No offense. No, thank you. It seems kind of like a terrible place to live. If not, it would have been. What did we read for the? I guess. Oh my gosh, I'm having like a brain fart. I don't remember the last. I would have to look at my list of books that I read. What was the last book we read? I guess I don't remember
This is
reading.
How
Did
You
we?
Lose the Time Worm.
No, but I
And then
read that
before
2 years
that,
ago. That's for you.
it was Service Model.
That we did for the podcast, though.
Yeah.
Right. No,
Sorry, I
mine
thought
would have.
that's what you were asking.
No, that's for the podcast.
Blood Marked
Um,
also.
Mine would be blood marked. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I would like to live. Well, I bet it would be kind of fun to live in blood marked to have like cool powers, but or what was the other one? Or in the first book you remember loving. Ooh, that's a cool world too, but it's a bit dystopian. But I think that would be a fun place. It's the Seventh Towers series that I remember like being really, really hooked in. I think that would be kind of fun ish. But if I could be the main character outside of being the main character, it would not be fun. Like, let's be honest, if you're not the one of the main characters, it's not going to be fun living in these worlds, you know? It really isn't. So, I don't know. It's whatevs. If it's the book that we're currently reading, I don't want to live in that world where there's like creepy monsters and crap. So, and I don't know, monster treaties. That didn't seem fun. Like, it does not seem like a fun world to live in. So, I'll pick that one. My first book I remember loving.
So the first book I remember loving was a book I read forever ago as a kid called The Kid Who Became President. And that would be kind of funny to live in because it would be better than our current situation. A literal child.
Probably run better too.
Yeah.
Probably more emotional regulation.
Oh.
So I think I'll choose that because I think that'd be kind of funny to live in that book that I read. This would have been like elementary school, but it's one of the first I remember like really loving that I read myself. So
I think living in the Wren and the Holly Library world would be mildly more interesting than living in Princess Diaries land. Which that was my first probably, other than like Junie B. Jones or like this like the tiny little books that I read, the first like novel that I probably read that I remember loving would have been Princess Diaries. And then shortly after that I got into Harry Potter. Which that would have been a given. I'd live at Hogwarts, but I don't know. I think the Princess Diaries, it would just be like living in England, kind of, because it wasn't like I don't know, their country was this made up Genovia country, but
right.
But it was pretty much, just like an English, like a twist off of a London type situation. So it wouldn't really change my life that much, aside from geographically. So I think it might be more more exciting to live in the monster treaty run in the Holly Library, but I also might die, so maybe I should play it safe and just be a princess.
So princess it is, I guess. All right, our next would you rather. Would you rather have a book hangover that lasts a month or never feel emotionally attached to a book again?
What does that mean, a book hangover? Like, I guess I
Like you
don't get
can't
that.
stop thinking about it, or like it emotionally wrecks you.
Oh, I didn't realize that was a thing.
I'm not
Okay.
sure I've ever had a book hangover. So I guess I'm going to choose that one so I can experience a book hangover for a month because that would kind of suck to never feel emotionally attached to a book ever again.
I would definitely rather have a book hangover, even if it lasts a month.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I've ever. I don't know.
You've never had a book that like stuck with you and you just kept thinking about it
I
and
mean,
like
like, maybe for like a. I don't know if it's like. I don't
usually they
know.
don't last a month. That's why
Okay, that's what I was gonna say. I don't think I've ever had it like for a
no.
month.
That's
I
why it's like
guess.
supposed to make it hard to choose because you
I
then have to
see.
deal with those feelings for like a whole month versus
I see. I think I would rather choose that. I don't. Yeah, I guess I would rather choose that.
the alternative is you're just never emotionally into books, which I think would be
Right.
sad.
That's a sad. Yeah. Yeah, I would choose that one.
Well, that was a quick one. Our next one, would you rather have your favorite book turned into a terrible movie adaptation or never get adapted at all?
I'd probably rather it never get adapted at all than it be terrible. Because sometimes like what I picture when I'm reading is great, and then sometimes they adapt it to a movie, and I'm like, okay, like I can see why they chose those people, or even if I don't love it, like, but if it's just like awful, I worry that it might ruin the book for me. So I think if it's going to be like truly terrible, I'd probably just rather it be in my head instead of on screen.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with that. Because there has been some very terrible movie adaptation of books I have read, and so if that were my only option, like, what is the point? Like, I would rather it just not be adapted and just enjoy it for what it is, than get your hopes up and then it just be this terrible thing. So yeah, I would choose just never.
Yeah, same. After seeing a lot of terrible adaptations of my favorite books, I would just rather they not get adapted at all. The next one, I'm glad that Barbara gets to go first in this one because I think I'm most excited to hear her feedback on it. Would you rather read, would you rather only be able to read physical books with tiny, almost unreadable font or ebooks with glitchy formatting?
Okay, if I'm reading a physical book that I can't actually read, then what is the point?
It says almost unreadable. So it's readable.
Almost.
It's just really tiny font.
Like, I already have crap eyesight. I already paid with these eyeballs. I've already done that. I put in my time. I'm not about to sit here and like read a book up to my eyeball trying to read something.
So you're
I
choosing
guess
glitchy formatting,
I
huh?
get, but
The
I don't.
bane of
So
your
what does that
existence when
look
that
like?
happens?
What does that look like? Like, is it like I'm reading my little ebook and all of a sudden like the
It could like
like
jump
page.
chapters
Well, I
or
mean, that happens every time because, like, have you seen the way I read? Like, sometimes I'm laying, like, upside down and reading my book, and, like, my elbow will hit the damn thing, and I'm like, oh, no. So I'll go back. Like, I would rather that, I think. Like, I
do
kind of
you
want to
create
see.
your own glitchy
I
world so you
do.
just just keep living in it?
I do. I kind of want to, like,
So
see a
glitchy formatting
video.
would
Oh,
be inconsistent indentation, weird spacing, extra spaces, hyphens appearing in the middle of words where they shouldn't be. Formatting
That's like
or
formatting, not like a
yeah.
e-reader glitch. That's kind of weird.
that's what this
Yeah.
says. Glitchy formatting is literally the wording.
Well, I understand, but
On
I thought it was
ebooks
more
though?
like on
Yeah.
ebooks. Like, I thought it was more like an issue with the ebook, not like.
Oh, because if it's gonna mess with the punctuation, then that might.
But that doesn't sound like it's messing with the punctuation. It's more like double like okay, let's be honest. How many of us has like maybe once or twice downloaded a book illegally or like found a book online
Never.
illegally? I'm going to admit it. Please don't sue me. I have read a book or two in that way, and like it is glitchy because it's like you like you'll have certain things where it's like a paragraph long, and then like something else is like triple, double spaced. And you're like, what the heck is happening?
So yeah, something like that. So
So
you have to
similar
read
like
every
that.
every book is formatted like that, or Every book is a physical book with extremely small font.
Yeah, I can't read really small font. Like I have trouble with that. So I think that that would be harder maybe on my eyes to read than the glitchy formatting. Like I I would have to I would have to physically see what both of them look like for me to choose. It's very hard for
I'm
me to
picturing
visualize
Barbara with like a
this.
giant magnifying glass.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. That would be hard to like read that way. So I don't know. I'm leaning towards glitchy formatting, but for me to actually like see what this looks like, I need to physically see what this looks like. Like I can't picture it. So I think I'm leaning towards glitchy formatting.
I'm also choosing glitchy formatting. I hate books with tiny font with a passion. Hate it. So glitchy formatting is going to suck, and I'm going to be irritated while I read it. But it's I'm going to be irritated either way. So I guess I'm choosing the one that's maybe slightly less irritating.
Yeah, this one's a little easier for me because I can just do the audiobooks. And
Well, that's
neither
not an
of
option,
There's
Lauren.
those.
This is a
option,
would you
Lauren. No,
rather.
stop it.
Okay, like if I had to choose, I again don't really know what glitchy formatting is, even with the description. I'm having a hard time picturing it, but I probably would choose that over a teeny tiny font. Like, I wear reading glasses, but I don't have to wear glasses all the time. But I still don't like it when it's super small because then I get headaches. And I would be like the granny with like the giant magnifying glass reading the trying to read my books, which is just cumbersome because then you can't be warm under your blankie.
Lauren's in her kitchen at the dining room table reading massive tome with a magnifying glass, wearing her like monk's robe by candlelight.
Mommy, what are you doing? I'm trying to read.
Why don't you read normal books, Mom? I can't. I'm not allowed to.
Right now, mommy's busy trying to read this tiny font.
I
Because
made
your
a decision I
uncle,
shouldn't have.
because of your uncle, he cursed me to only read tiny font.
It's Uncle Michael's fault. All right, next question. Would you rather read only books with love triangles or only books with open endings? Easy for me. Open endings.
Love
I could
triangles, right, Michael?
I could live with open endings. In fact, I love some books that end that way. I think that's great. Leaves it open for interpretation from the reader. I know Barbara and Lauren have some choice words about open endings. I like open endings. And I like open endings better than I like love triangles because love triangles are annoying and extremely cliche and tropey. So open endings are my choice.
Okay, well, most people know how I feel about open endings. I think they're appropriate in a very select few cases. I like closure. However, love triangles are almost always very annoying and tropey, unless they're done really well, too. I would probably choose the open endings, which that says a lot because I really don't love. I don't hate all open endings, but I don't like it when it's not done well. And I don't hate all love triangles, but I would say I hate more love triangles than I have read more books where the love triangles were cringy than I have where like the open endings were infuriating. So
I think the problem with both of these that I have with both of them is if it's not done well, they are terrible. Both of them are terrible if not done well. So I have to pick the lesser of two evils here. I don't know, because I mean, I've read some books that have terrible love triangles, and I still read them, and it's not so bad. I'm trying to think if I've read so many open ending books. I don't know that I have. There's maybe like a few off the top of my head that I can think of. I don't honestly. I don't really care. It's not one of those where I'm like, oh my gosh, no, one is just terrible. I have to pick this one. I wouldn't really care. I think I'm okay with either choice, to be honest with you, because
That's fair.
like love triangles don't bother me as much as I guess for you guys, but I want a true love triangle because like let's be honest, most of them are like obtuse things where it's like one person in the middle and both
I
of
knew
them
you
like
were going
this
to bring this
person
up.
versus a true love triangle where it's like Bob likes Joe and Jennifer likes Bob and Joe likes Bob and Jennifer. Like then we're talking, that is a true love triangle, but normally it's not that case. It's just everyone loves
It's a
Jennifer
love angle.
and Bob and Joe don't like each other, and then it's like, well, then why are we calling it a love triangle? Because it's not. Anyways, I digress, but I'm fine with either one on this one, honestly. I don't care.
I knew you were going to bring up your feelings about a real love
It's a
triangle,
it
which
has to
is
be a real love triangle,
a
ladies and
love
gentlemen.
angle.
Yes, a love angle. If not,
Would you rather have to read the last chapter first or never be able to read the last chapter at all?
this is like the same question.
I hate both of those choices.
It's literally like, would you rather get spoiled or never know the ending? Like, it's the same thing. It's just written differently.
No, this is different than that.
No,
It's
it's
talking
Read-
about specifically the last
not.
chapter.
I've known people that will read like the last few pages of a book before they buy it, and I feel like those people, there's like a special place in hell for them. Maybe they're
Jeez,
good.
tell us how you really
So if
feel.
you're listening and you know
Maybe-
Lauren, maybe she's talking about you.
Okay, so maybe they're good people, but like that, how could you do that? And then like proceed to, I don't know, whatever.
So you're choosing to never be able to read the last chapter at all?
No, that's not what I said.
Exactly.
Because I feel like closure is important as well. So I think maybe I can choose to read the last chapter, but then not really like pay attention to it and just kind of like skim it and then get out of it that way.
I mean, let's be honest, and I'm totally making a joke about this. You and Michael are gonna forget what you read anyways, so
Exactly.
it's fine.
Exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying. I literally like.
Sorry, I really had to. Like, I don't believe that at all. That's totally a joke, but I just had to make
But
it.
It's
But it's
true.
also accurate.
It's also accurate.
Because
Literally, my
based on that, what we could do, there's no time frame on this. We could read the last chapter and then wait a month and then start reading
exactly,
the book.
and then start.
Then it's
But
gone.
I literally the first thought that came to my mind was like I could just ADHD read the last chapter. That was my first thought because I'm like if I just like absentmindedly read it and actually don't pay attention to what I'm reading, because sometimes I'll read a page like 4 times and I still can't remember what I read. I gotta go back. If I'm not
What is
like
happening?
if I'm not fully focused or like if my toddler's what did you say, pelting toys
Yes,
at me,
pelting toys at you.
Or things like that. So I would probably choose that because I can distractedly read the last chapter, forget what I read, and then go back and still enjoy the book versus continuously never having closure.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same answer I had for the last question. I would just rather read the last chapter first. I don't want to never be allowed to read the last chapter at all because I feel like it's just that. I don't even have to go in on it.
That's mine also. I'd rather be able to read the last chapter first. I would just do what Lauren said, and ADHD read it, and then come back to it later. All right, Barbara, you are up next. Would you rather only read books written in the 1800s, or only read books published in the last year?
Last year, as a woman of color, I would rather read books that have been published in the last year because more and more women of color are finally able to get their books published. In the 1800s, it would be white men or women who had to write under the guise of white men, and then or white men stealing women's books. So absolutely not. We're not there yet. We'll never be there yet, or maybe we will be there yet, but it's so much more it's not versatile, more what is the word we're looking for, like, you know, there's just so many more options now. There's so many things that you can read now versus I feel like in the 1800s it's very just like white men. That's all you could read, and I don't want to read that. No offense to white men. I want my books to be diverse. I think diversity is very important, and I would rather do that. Sorry, books from 1800s.
I don't feel like that's offensive at all. Like I love the classics, but I wouldn't want to only read the classics, especially from just that like 100-year period. So yeah, only books published in the last year. I'll just be, you know what? It'll keep me from having as much of a TBR pile because a lot of my TBR
It's
lists will
true.
just disappear.
All of them are
I
going to
can't
get thrown away.
can't read them anymore because they didn't come out in the last year. So it would force me to read books very quickly as they come out if I want to read them. So that could be interesting.
That could also be awful though, because imagine having to just wait all the time for new books when you can't just delve into like other books.
But there's so many books coming out. You just pick
That's
them up
true.
and read.
Yeah, I couldn't read.
We
From
would
the
just have to be
1800s.
like on top of it, like Michael said. Like
Yeah.
you can't be like,
Can you
let me
imagine though
put
in that
this off.
scenario? What if a friend told you about a really interesting series and you find out that book 1 came out 13 months ago?
Oh,
Oh, no.
what if you start a really good book in December and like something happens and you can't finish it.
Okay, y'all are getting crazy with these what ifs. Y'all need to stop it.
Because that would suck too. But I still would probably pick, I wouldn't pick reading from the 1800s because I don't know. So much better things have been written since then. So.
It's fair.
And I'm really just not trying to read in the language of the 1800s either. If I'm honest. I can appreciate it for what it was and the literature that they created and for different reasons. But yeah, no thank you.
All right, we have 2 left. Here's the next one. Would you rather all books be spoiler tagged with major plot twists or have no blurb or description at all? God, this one's hard because
Wait, does that mean like no like jacket cover, like no description
yes,
at all on the back? Okay.
correct.
So it's just like title, like you're just vibing.
Yes.
From
So
the
it's
vibe.
either
so
it's
you
either
would
you
only-
spoil it or nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Either
Well, but
you
that's
know
what I'm
like
saying.
all the major plot points or you get no description at all and you just have to go off the title and the author's name.
Okay.
And it's hard because I don't want to spoil the book, but it's also like that's how I pick out books is reading the description to see if it's interesting. So like to completely eliminate that, I mean, I guess it would throw some curveballs. I'd have to pick. You'd really be shopping by the cover of the book, like, oh, okay, that looks interesting. But I think I'm going to choose that because I don't want every book to have all the major plot twists just like as spoiler tags. Like that would suck. So yeah,
Can
I
I
guess
just
no
can I
blurbs.
just skip past the spoilers? The spoiler part?
No,
Like
stop it,
can
Lori.
No, you can't. Stop lawyering it.
I'm sorry, but those are both terrible answers. Okay.
They're not great, but I'm choosing no blurbs or descriptions.
I think I would probably have to do the same and just is there at least like a picture on the cover? Like does it at least have
It's
pretty
whatever
cover
book
art?
designs. I mean, look at some of your books and see what do you think.
Yeah. So
'Cause
yeah,
I can
in this
easily-
situation, the books are all look the same. They just don't have any
okay.
words
Yeah.
on them except for the
book
title and the
title.
author's name.
Yeah.
That's fair. I mean, I feel like I'll probably be disappointed several times because I will pick something because it has a really cool cover like dragons or something and the book has like 0.5 dragons in it.
Could you imagine if the question was like all books are leather-bound tomes and it's just the name of the book and the author's
That would be
name? That's it.
awful.
That would be awful. That would be
No,
worse.
That would be worse.
That would be horrible.
So yeah, I would have to pick just no spoilers because again, like it ruins the reading experience to a certain extent.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's the age old like people are getting frustrated when there's like sensitivity like things that they put now. I've seen certain books are putting
trigger
that,
warnings.
like that's it. That's the word we're looking for, trigger warnings and stuff. And that kind of gives not like major plot twists, but it does kind of give a few spoiler-ish stuff, and I'm okay with that. Like it is like you can avoid reading that if you don't want to read that part of it, but I think I would rather go with the no blurb or description at all and just go for the vibes. I have picked up certain books for the vibes alone, and it was terrible, but I read it. It is what it is. I think I'd rather do that than have like spoiler tag major plot point twists.
I mean, I can just do what I do now, which is Michael reads faster than me, and so then he can text me, "Hey, here's a trigger warning. Don't read chapter 27." I'm like,
Except for all the books that you read that aren't for the podcast.
Well, yeah, that's fair.
All right, we've made it to our last would you rather question for today. Would you rather your favorite author never write again or write 10 more books that are all kind of disappointing?
That's tough because you don't want to be disappointed, but also like at least I'm getting something from them. So I don't want anybody to like just never have to write again. And if it's because of a decision that I made, like who am I to tell an author to never...
I love how in your mind you're like, I'm ending their career. Like,
I am. In this would you rather question.
Main character energy over here.
It is.
Like, if I make this choice, the
I
career
know.
is over.
Because that's what you're saying. You're like, man, your author never gets to write again if I choose this. So like, I can't choose that. I mean, let them write. Some people might love it. I'd rather, I think, be disappointed by like more content than, I don't know, have less. But then I also feel like, what is that dystopian series that I read? The Divergent series? Like they probably would have been better off like just stopping after like a certain point. So.
Have you ever read any more of her books after the fact?
I would have to look up what the other books are called
Yeah.
because I'm terrible with that. But I feel like I might have. But
Mm.
I was definitely disappointed with that last book and the movie.
Yeah. What
I liked the
movie?
first movie
They
was
never
good.
finished the last
No, yeah. The
one.
first movie, I really liked the first movie. I don't even know if I don't remember the second one because I think it was bad. And then they never finished it. So maybe in some circumstances it's better to just like, quit while you're ahead, but I don't want it to be my decision.
So to clarify, you're going with 10 more books that are all kind of
Yeah.
disappointing.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it
Yeah.
doesn't say that they're terrible. It just says they're kind of
Kind of
disappointing. So
disappointing,
it's
yeah.
like,
I mean, haven't we all put up with kind of disappointing things in our lives, I would rather pick that one because not every book that my favorite author will write will be my favorite. That's kind of like a given. Like I'm not always going to enjoy what they write. I mean, most of the time I feel like that isn't the case, but there have been a handful of times where I'm just like, oh, okay, I read it, I liked it, but maybe just not for me. It's not my favorite. I'd rather still keep getting books because after that 10th one, that 11th one's going to be my favorite again. So I'm willing to take that chance and then just never have them write again. So I think that I feel like that's an easier one.
Gotta agree with both of you. 10 more books that are kind of disappointing at least gives you 10 more books. Like maybe maybe it's Brandon Sanderson and I get 10 more books in this world that he's created that I really love, even if they're maybe not my favorite ones that he's written. That's still better than just nothing. So going with that. That's all she wrote. That's all of our would you rather questions for today. Barbara, will you please bring us home?
Bring us home.
Yeah, bring us
Oh,
home.
you always say that. I always get confused.
Wrap it up.
It's just,
as Eliana would say, it's a figure of speech.
I need her here to tell me that.
It's a figure of speech, Aunt Barbara.
That's what she calls it, a figure.
It's a figure of speech. Sure, Mako. Have feedback about today's episode? Contact us by writing to badassliteraturesociety@gmail.com. You can also send us a DM or leave a comment on one of our many and plethoras, all the things of our social media pages.
Make sure you're following Badass Literature for free in your favorite podcast app. Give us a rating and leave us a review if they allow you to. Also, don't forget to follow on social media. Our handle is at BadassLitPod on both Instagram and Facebook. And with that, we'll see you all later this month, where we'll finally be reviewing The Wren in the Holly Library. I'm Michael.
I'm Barbara.
I'm Lauren. Bye.
Bye.